this. Before you seek peace in the world, pause and ask yourself, have you ever truly listened to silence? This, not the silence of an empty room, but the silence within you, the stillness that remains after every thought fades. This, because in that silence lies everything you've been searching for. So many of us chase happiness in achievements, in people, in possessions. But peace isn't something you can chase, it's something you allow. Today, let's explore how silence can become your greatest teacher and how by embracing it, you can transform your entire life. The power of silence is one of the most profound forces in human life, yet it is also one of the least understood. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by noise, not only the physical sounds that fill our environment, but the mental noise that never seems to stop. Our minds are flooded with information, expectations, and endless comparisons. Every moment, there is something calling for our attention. We scroll through screens, chase after validation, and run from one distraction to another, believing that movement equals progress. But deep inside a voice whispers that something is missing. That whisper is silence, calling you home. When you begin to understand silence, you realize it is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of awareness. Silence is not emptiness. It is full of life, full of truth, full of clarity. It is in silence that you meet yourself without masks, without roles, without pretenses. Many people are afraid of silence because it exposes what they have been avoiding, their own thoughts, emotions, and unresolved pain. But silence does not come to hurt you, it comes to heal you. It invites you to look within, to see what truly lives inside you when all the noise fades away. In silence, your mind slows down. The constant chatter of thoughts begins to dissolve, and for the first time, you start to feel the rhythm of your own existence. You notice your breath, your heartbeat, the subtle sensations of being alive. You begin to see how often you live outside of yourself, in the past, worrying about what has already happened, or in the future, anxious about what has yet to come. Silence brings you back to the present moment, the only place where peace can ever exist. There is a sacred quality to silence that words can never describe. It is the space where wisdom grows, when you stop speaking and start listening, not to others, but to life itself. You begin to hear the truth that has always been there. Silence teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you that not every situation requires a reaction. And not every question demands an immediate answer. Some things are understood only when you are quiet enough to feel them. The power of silence is that it connects you with your inner being. When you spend time in silence, you detach from the external world's chaos and connect with your own inner clarity. This clarity becomes your compass. It guides your actions, your words, your decisions. You stop seeking validation because you realize that peace does not come from approval. It comes from alignment. In silence, you remember that happiness is not something you achieve, it is something you awaken. Silence also strengthens your relationships. When you learn to be silent, you learn to listen. You stop reacting out of impulse and start responding from understanding. True communication is born not from the loudest voice, but from the calmest heart. A few moments of silence can solve what hours of argument never could. Because silence carries presence, and presence is the greatest form of love you can offer anyone. In silence, even pain transforms. When you stop running from discomfort and sit quietly with it, you begin to see that pain has a message. It is showing you where healing is needed. It is guiding you toward growth. Every emotion, no matter how heavy it is, loses its power when faced with pure awareness. That is the essence of silence. Awareness without resistance. The power of silence is not something to be found, it is something to be remembered. Beneath the surface of every thought, every emotion, every word, silence has always been there, waiting for you to return. It is the foundation of peace, the birthplace of wisdom, and the bridge between the mind and the soul. When you embrace silence, you discover that you were never separate from peace. You were simply too distracted to notice it. Silence is not an escape from life, it is the way back into life. In silence, you find yourself. And in finding yourself, you find peace. Awareness over reaction is the art of mastering the mind rather than being mastered by it. In our daily lives, we encounter countless situations that trigger emotions: anger, fear, jealousy, disappointment. Most people live in a constant state of reaction, instantly responding to whatever the outside world throws at them. Someone says something unpleasant and we reply with irritation. A plan fails and we fall into frustration. Without realizing it, we become slaves to external circumstances, allowing them to dictate how we feel and behave. But peace begins when we shift from reacting to observing. When we develop awareness, we no longer live like leaves blown by the wind of emotion. We become the stillness behind the movement, the calm center in the middle of chaos. Awareness means to see things as they are, without judgment, without labels, without attachment. It is to witness life from a higher perspective. Instead of saying, I am angry, awareness allows you to recognize this. Anger is arising within me. This small shift creates a vast difference. The first statement traps you inside the emotion, while the second separates your true self from the temporary wave passing through your consciousness. This space between you and your reaction is where freedom lives. When you become aware, you no longer identify with every feeling or thought that comes your way. You simply observe, allowing emotions to appear and disappear without being controlled by them. Most people believe that their reactions are natural, that they cannot help but respond instantly. But the truth is, reaction is a habit, awareness is a practice. With awareness, you train your mind to pause. You breathe before you speak. You look before you act. In that moment of stillness, you gain power. The power to choose how to respond, the power to protect your peace, and the power to rise above the situation instead of sinking into it. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending not to feel. It means allowing emotions to exist, but not letting them take command. Like a wise observer watching the waves crash upon the shore, you remain steady, knowing the waves will soon fade back into the ocean. The world constantly tests this balance. Every day offers opportunities to react to someone's words, to news, to disappointment, to misunderstanding. But every reaction that comes from unconsciousness takes away your strength. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and distances you from peace. Awareness, on the other hand, renews you. It helps you understand that people act according to their own level of consciousness, just as you do. When you realize this, forgiveness becomes easier. Compassion arises naturally. You stop taking things personally because you understand that everything people say or do is a reflection of their inner state, not yours. When awareness grows, the world no longer controls you. You begin to live intentionally instead of automatically. Every situation becomes an opportunity for growth rather than a reason for suffering. You start to see that each challenge, each difficult person, and each emotional storm is there to show you where you still need to be free. Instead of asking this, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask this, what is this trying to teach me? This simple change in perception transforms pain into wisdom. This awareness over reaction is the foundation of emotional intelligence. It allows you to act from clarity instead of confusion. This, when your mind is still, your response becomes powerful and precise. This, you begin to notice that silence often speaks louder than words. Walking away can sometimes carry more strength than arguing. This, smiling through chaos becomes a declaration of peace that nothing outside can take away. The more aware you become, the less you need to prove anything. The mind that understands does not need to react, it simply knows this. The practice of awareness is not something that happens overnight. It requires patience, consistency, and self-honesty. You start by watching small moments, how you feel when someone interrupts you, when plans change, or when things don't go your way. Every moment of awareness weakens the habit of reaction. Over time, you will notice that you no longer get pulled into every emotional current. Life may still be chaotic on the outside, but inside there is a quiet observer watching everything unfold with calm understanding. In the end, awareness is not about changing the world around you. It is about changing the way you experience it. When you live with awareness, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. You see beauty in stillness, lessons in pain, and strength in patience. Awareness gives you control not over life, but over yourself. And when you master yourself, peace follows naturally. Reaction comes from the mind. Awareness comes from the soul. Choose awareness, and you will find that nothing can disturb your inner balance, because your peace is no longer dependent on what happens around you, but on what awakens within you. Letting go of inner clutter is not about abandoning everything you have or withdrawing from the world. It is about releasing the unnecessary burdens that cloud your mind and block your peace. Most people carry within them an invisible weight. Regrets from the past, fears about the future, grudges against others, and endless expectations of themselves. This inner clutter consumes mental space, leaving little room for clarity, joy, or stillness. The more we hold on, the heavier life feels. The moment we begin to let go, even slightly, we feel lighter. It is not life that becomes easier, it is we who become freer. The truth is, we often mistake holding on for strength. We think that by clinging to memories, beliefs, or people, we protect ourselves from loss or failure. But holding on tightly to what no longer serves us is like grasping a burning coal. It hurts us more the longer we refuse to release it. Letting go is not weakness. It is courage. It takes strength to face yourself and say, this no longer helps me grow. It takes wisdom to understand that not everything or everyone is meant to stay. Life moves in seasons. Some people and experiences are only meant to teach us something before moving on. Practice. When we resist this natural flow, we create suffering. When we accept it, peace begins to rise within us like a calm tide. The mind loves to collect not just things, but emotions, judgments, and stories. Every argument you replay, every mistake you refuse to forgive, every dream you fear to chase, all of it becomes mental clutter. And when the mind is cluttered, even the simplest situations feel complicated. You lose sight of what truly matters because you are buried under what does not. The first step to peace is awareness of this clutter. The second step is the willingness to release it piece by piece. You do not have to empty everything at once. Start by letting go of one small attachment, a past hurt, a negative thought, or a constant worry. Each release creates space for something new, clarity, hope, stillness. When you let go, you create silence inside. In that silence, wisdom begins to speak. You start to see that much of your suffering was never caused by life itself, but by your resistance to it. The more you fight what is, the more exhausted you become. Acceptance, however, is not giving up. It is recognizing that some things are beyond your control and choosing peace over resistance. You stop trying to control people, outcomes, and situations. You begin to trust the natural rhythm of life, understanding that everything happens in its own time. The need to control fades, and in its place grows a deep trust. A trust that whatever belongs to you will find you, and whatever leaves was never meant to stay. Letting go also means forgiving, not for others, but for yourself. Forgiveness is not about agreeing with what happened. It is about freeing yourself from the poison of resentment. When you hold anger or bitterness, you chain yourself to the very pain you wish to escape. Forgiveness cuts those chains. It gives your heart room to breathe again. Every time you forgive, you reclaim a piece of your own peace. The process of letting go is not easy. The mind will resist. It will say, if I let go, I will lose something important. But in truth, what you lose are illusions, false identities, unnecessary attachments, and expectations that never served your growth. What remains after letting go is what has always been real. Your inner peace, your awareness, your connection to life. Imagine your mind as a clear lake. When cluttered with thoughts and emotions, the water becomes muddy and you cannot see your reflection. When you let go, the mud settles and clarity returns. You begin to see yourself as you truly are, whole, capable, and complete. This clarity allows you to live with intention. You no longer react out of fear or pain, but respond from wisdom. You realize that peace is not something you gain by adding more to your life. It is something you uncover by removing what doesn't belong. Letting go of inner clutter is a journey back to yourself. It is the art of creating space to breathe, to feel, to be. When you release the noise, the silence inside becomes your sanctuary. And in that silence, you rediscover the essence of who you are, calm, aware, and deeply at peace. The more you let go, the more you find that what you were seeking outside has been within you all along. Living in the present moment is one of the simplest teachings in words, yet one of the hardest to practice in life. The mind, by nature, does not stay still. It either wanders into the past, replaying memories, regrets, and mistakes, or it rushes into the future, creating worries and expectations that do not yet exist. In this constant movement between what was and what might be, we lose the only place where life actually happens, the present. The truth is, the present moment is all we ever have, but we rarely live in it fully. Most of our suffering comes from our inability to stay here now. The past no longer exists. The future has not yet arrived. And the only reality we can ever touch is this single breath, this single heartbeat, this very moment. To live in the present moment means to be completely aware of what is happening right now without trying to change it, without labeling it as good or bad. It is to be fully alive in your experience, whether it is pleasant or painful. When you are truly present, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. The sound of the wind, the feeling of water on your hands, the simple act of breathing, everything becomes a miracle. Life slows down, and you begin to see that peace is not hidden somewhere in the future. It is here, quietly waiting behind your attention. The reason so many people feel restless and dissatisfied is because they are always chasing a moment that hasn't come yet. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I get this, when I fix that, when things change. But life doesn't work that way. The moment you reach that future point, the mind will already be searching for another one. True peace does not come from achieving the next thing. It comes from fully embracing what is. The present moment may not always be comfortable, but it is real. And when you accept reality as it is, you free yourself from endless resistance. You stop fighting with time, and for the first time, you begin to live. The past and future exist only as thoughts. The present is not a thought, it is an experience. When you focus your awareness on what you are doing now, your mind becomes quiet. If you are walking, just walk. If you are eating, just eat. If you are breathing, just breathe. It sounds simple, yet this simplicity holds immense power. When your attention is fully in the now, there is no space for anxiety, no space for regret, no space for fear. All those emotions live in time, not in presence. In the present, there is only peace. Living in the now does not mean ignoring your responsibilities or forgetting your past. It means not allowing them to control your state of mind. You can plan for the future, but you do not have to live in it. You can learn from the past, but you do not have to dwell there. Both are tools for understanding, not places to reside. The present moment is the meeting point of all times, where the lessons of the past and the possibilities of the future merge into the only thing that truly exists. This moment of awareness, the more present you become, the more life reveals itself to you. You begin to notice the small details you once overlooked. The tone of someone's voice, the warmth of sunlight, the calm between sounds. Presence deepens your connection with others because you truly listen. You are no longer waiting for your turn to speak or lost in your own thoughts. You are here fully with them. Presence is love in action. It says, I am here with you, completely. A learning to live in the present also means letting go of the illusion of control. We often believe that by worrying about the future, we can prevent pain. But worry does not prevent tomorrow's problems. It only steals today's peace. When you are present, you trust life. You trust that whatever comes will be handled when it arrives. You realize that peace is not something you must search for. It is what remains when you stop running from the now. Every breath is an opportunity to return. Whenever your mind drifts, gently bring it back to this moment. The feel of your breath entering and leaving your body, the stillness between thoughts. With each return, you strengthen your connection to presence. Over time, you discover that life does not need to be perfect to be peaceful. It only needs to be lived consciously. The more you live in the present, the more you understand that the mind complicates what the heart already knows. This moment is enough. In the end, to live in the present is to live in truth. It is the doorway to peace, the bridge to awareness, the essence of freedom. When you stop being lost in time and awaken to this very moment, you realize that life was never missing anything. You were simply not paying attention. The past cannot be changed. The future cannot be controlled, but this moment, this breath is always yours. And in that realization lies the deepest peace a human being can ever know.